So I did a video about the Suicide Squad kills the Justice League. This was a couple videos ago because I was also doing content about the TikTok ban and stuff. So I'm taking a break from that real quick, and I have more videos coming for that. But a lot of the responses, because I had said, it really wasn't a bad game, didn't look like a bad game, and people are like, oh, unfinished game. And I'll say right now that nothing tells me that you can't form your own opinion on anything, and that you've only been watching YouTube videos about games than the people that are parroting the unfinished game. Can somebody define for me how that game's unfinished? Like, I'm gonna give some very broad terms here, and somebody in the comments of that video was pointing out, contrary to that the seasons were free. They weren't charging for extra content on the seasons. And again, I haven't played. I have a few people that I know who have played, thought it was great. And these are people who don't follow the, popular YouTube channels at this point. But, I want a clear definition of unfinished game. Please explain to me unfinished game. If the game has a main narrative that runs from start to finish, that's a complete story. If it has graphics that perform well, that's a complete game. And let's also kind of caveat that with, there is no game that exists in the past 5 years that hasn't had some sort of technical difficulty in the first year of release. Not one, not with current production. So if you're going to say that one game is bad because of technical difficulties and graphical issues that every game has, then you probably should stop playing every modern game that's out, because they all have the same issue because of really horrible production techniques. And I'm not blaming the developers. I'm blaming the people that run the development teams, the CEOs and executives who rush these out. Also, I'd like to point out, a lot of people aren't aware of this. I swear I need to start doing YouTube videos just to show these examples, but there are too many people that complain about gaming, especially on PC, that have builds that are garbage. And I mean, like, you built a computer, but you don't know anything about hardware. And again, you listened to someone on YouTube who told you how to build your computer, and you think you should be able to run all these fancy graphics, but your hardware doesn't support it or doesn't synergize well to be able to handle that. Like, you have mismatched parts like memory, processor, graphics card, and you don't understand why things aren't working. And you're like, oh, the game is crap. And it's like, no, it's your build that's crap. And then you'll counter with, but I've been able to play a ton of games fine. Yes, but let's look at those games. Some of those games you played were highly compatible with multiple builds. Others required special hardware. Cyberpunk is a good example of a game that was very hard for entry-level people to get into, and a lot of people tried to 4K that, even though 4K gaming is not a thing at this point. You can try to argue that all you want, but it is not. Not one game is developed to be true 4K. Every developer has said that at this point. You can upscale stuff, but that's not true 4K gaming. That's the same as saying DVDs are 1080. If you didn't know this, they're not. They're 720p upscaled, and newer TVs, DVDs look like crap because of the fact that the upscaling doesn't hold up as well on newer TVs. It just doesn't. So if you're seeing grainy things or other stuff, it's because it wasn't meant for that. Similar with gaming. People are taking games that may at best run at, 1440 as their intended value, and they're trying to run them at 4K, and it's just not working. And again, I'm going to point out this fact that the Steam hardware survey shows overwhelming the majority of people running 1080p setups. 1080p. 3 monitors, 1080p, 1 primary gaming monitor, that's another stat. With some, the next rung up is like 1440p gaming, and a sliver of people running what would be 4K. The hardware is too expensive and not accessible for the average person. So, and again, I go back to that. People are wasting money on builds they don't need. Spending $3,000 on a gaming rig to run games that were intended to run on 1080p is a waste of money and waste of resources. You've really wasted your money. I'm not even kidding. I'm trying to, and again, I'm soliciting donations for this. I'll put the build together. I would literally start a YouTube channel just chronicling what I'm doing if I have the funding for it. I just don't right now. This is why it's going to take me some time to get a new build together. But I plan on building a machine that's sub $2,000 that will 1080p up to 1440p game, will look fine, and does not need all this extra crap people are buying. So, but really, to dump on a game based on what other people are saying, because a lot of people are parroting only what other people are saying. A lot of people that play the game have enjoyed it, no problem. And I'm glad they put refunds out, but again, all it's done is push, the game developer to say, oh, we're doing live service only. You've successfully complained enough to get them to do the one thing nobody wants them to do, and that's what they're going to do. So the games are going to get worse as a result of you complaining about the one thing that wasn't accurate. Somebody in the comments had said that was a narrative pushed by, the game developer to make it so they could get it that way, that they wanted live service. And I agree with that. That was the case. They want to make it look like they can't make money off normal games They can. You can still make money off normal games. There is a model that works for that, but the problem is these companies want X amount of money right now, and if they don't get it, they're just not going to have it. You know, it's that. And I do think there's a place for live service games. It's not that I don't think there is. I think there is a place for live service games. Not every game, though. Anyway, guys, what are your thoughts on this? Please, again, keep the comments civil. I had to remove comments on the other video because people were saying ridiculous things. For those that are kind of understanding this viewpoint, I appreciate that. I'm open to disagreement, fully, but it's got to be something constructive and something that makes sense, not just some, you know, regurgitated stuff from another YouTube channel you've watched. And I've seen far too many YouTube channels that are very shallow in what they're talking about. But anyway, guys, appreciate it. And yeah, feel free to leave comments. Thank you.